good, but you know, that's again like why I prefer live streams, because I had all this great stuff I prepared from ChatGPT, and I had it on my screen where I could read it, but nobody else can see it, and it's like I have to explain everything, and it's not a very good. It's a good place for just talking,
hanging out,
right?
yeah.
But when you're talking about actually trying to teach stuff, to share materials, there's nothing that you can do. So it's not a great classroom, to be honest with you.
It's almost exclusively listening, practice.
Right, yeah, and even stuff like pronunciation, it's hard because you can hear me, but if you can't see my lips and my mouth, then that's not as helpful. Yeah. So, and look, I have all these AFIEC. These are all voice streams I need to upload to my podcast. What about DeepSeek? 都可以.
Yeah.
差不多. I don't understand the idea of competition in this case. I think it's stupid.
Well, and I think
it's like, use both of them.
Right.
Why do you have to choose one?
Well, you could have one make prompts for the other one.
Right,
and then just have them go back and forth.
That's right. Yeah. It's like when you ask the question, which one is better, ChatGPT or DeepSeek? That's like asking, is a Ferrari as good as a Porsche? They're both really badass. Yeah. So use them. If you have an opportunity to drive a Ferrari, you should. If you have an opportunity to drive a Porsche, you should.
Yeah. And it's like it's like toothbrushes, Does it brush your teeth?
Yeah, right. Yeah, if it does the job, then use it.
Yeah.
Right? So I feel like everybody wants to be like, well, no, but I use DeepSeek. Right. It's like, well,
yeah, I'm not too into the AI community, so I'm not.
I love AI.
I use it
all
for
the
like
time.
Mathematical stuff.
I use it all the time. I use it every single day to do stuff.
I used it a bunch in my statistics class.
Yeah. I use it all the time.
There was a couple. I would figure out the equation, and I'd do a couple, and then I'd be like, okay, no more.
I mean, I think I have probably about 6 or 7 different AI apps on my phone now.
Oh, wow, yeah.
For different things, whether it's music or art or, it's a general one like ChatGPT and DeepSeek, and ones that have characters you can create and story makers. And, I'm fascinated. I like to look at all the different ones,
It is definitely interesting.
Yeah. And, recently, honestly, I used to like writing stories too, but I don't have the time that I used to have, and but it's something I'd like to do again, and I've been using AI to do it, where like I have a character that I created who is a story maker, and I just say, hey, let's do a story about this. Give me like the 3 characters, and this is the plot, and this is I give them the parameters,
right,
and then say write in the style of this or that, and then it gives me something to read, and I feel like I'm writing too, and and I even one time I had it do choose your own adventure.
Oh yeah,
I would tell you give me 3 prompts at the end of each part to choose what to do. I used to love those when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That was like another form of Dungeons and Dragons,
right?
Kind of a thing, So, anyway, guys, we're just chatting. But if you have questions, you can ask us questions. Hello, my name is Teacher Mark.
Someone did ask a question.
This is Teacher Clay.
Hello.
What is this? The phrase "humor me." When is it used? When it's used sarcastically, what does it mean?
I think sort of the same thing, but I think it's always used with a tinge of.
I don't know if sarcasm is
maybe not sarcasm.
Quite the right word.
Yeah.
What is the right word?
Yeah, it's maybe used in a. It is kind of close, but yeah, you're right. It's not quite sarcastic. It's
No, that's not the word I'm looking for.
It's a little presumptuous, maybe.
Yeah. I think when you say humor me, most of the time, to be honest with you, it is not sarcastic in my opinion. It is telling you, like, somebody said something,
I've got something to tell you. You may not really want to hear it, but humor me and listen to what I'm saying. Right.
Or I have a big story to tell, but it's kind of long, so humor me and just, hear me out. But that's not sarcastic.
Right.
That's just, if anything, it's sarcasm, but it's directed back at yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're saying,
It's
like,
a little self-deprecating.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
it's self-deprecating. It's humor me. This is going to be a little painful, a little long, a little difficult, a little weird, you know.
Yeah, and I think
bear with me is almost of a meaning.
Yeah.
You know?
It could be used sarcastically. I think, you know, if someone's like, oh, humor me and clean the dishes or something, if someone has not done it in a very long time.
But
or
that's
something
a pretty specific.
It is, but
you know,
I would say things like that.
Yeah.
You know, it can be used. I guess anything can be used sarcastically.
It can, right, or they can, but yeah. So I think most of the time, though, when we use humor me, it is not in a sarcastic tone. It is in a either self-deprecating tone, which means like kind of talking.
It's playful.
You're playing with, you know. It's almost like you're making fun of yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Like when you
like
say,
I know you don't want to hear this, but humor me.
And it has almost a quality of bear with me.
Yes.
Which means like just
get through this.
Yeah, just to be patient and let me explain, because this is going to be weird or long or different or somehow strange. I don't know. So humor me and bear with me. Sometimes of that meaning. Humor me could also mean when you ask somebody to do something that they think they don't need to do or shouldn't need to do.
Right.
You know, humor me, just do it. Right. Yeah. You know, she wants you to wash the windows again. We just did them yesterday, but humor me, just do it, because, you know, she's an old woman. She just wants what she wants.
Yes.
Right. So just humor me and do it. Right. So in that case, again, it's not sarcastic. It's telling you,
right,
hey, I know you don't really want to do this. I don't know. We probably really don't need to.
Right.
But
humor me.
Humor me. Just do it. Okay.
It's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good one. Yeah. Especially, I want to look up the etymology of that.
Because I can see how you would think humor me is
because
used
the word humor
sarcastically.
is in
yes,
it.
and the way it's used is not, you know, always in a direct meaning sort of way.
Humor me comes from the Latin word for liquid or fluid. What?
Oh, like yes, humor.
Right, the humors.
Yes,
right. But wow.
Yeah.
Again,
yeah,
etymology, guys. Okay, so let's see. What's the story
maybe
on this?
Give me the blood that I don't actually need, or something like that. Humor me.
Humor comes from the Latin word for liquid or fluid. It originally referred to the four chief substances that ancient Greeks believed flowed through our bodies, or the humors. Each substance was associated with a personality trait, and each person's unique mixture dictated their personality. So, let's see. Let's find out. Humor. The etymology of humor. The original meaning of humor is a fluid or juice of an animal or plant.
Yum, yum.
Yeah. This apple is so humorous.
That's pretty great.
This steak is the most humorous steak I've ever had in my life.
A big glass of humor.
Yeah, we say juicy now, but
Yeah.
but apparently they used to call things humorous, which meant juicy.
That's funny.
So let's see. Umere means to be wet or moist. Umor. Originally it was spelled U-M-O-R.
I wonder if that's been translated in some way to the name.
No,
Umar.
but I'm looking for how did this become? Oh, here it is. Right, see, so the humors. Everybody, the Greeks, a long time ago, Greek doctors, physicians, right? They used to believe that the body, that sicknesses and health was all about four kinds of liquid that were in your body, and these four liquids represented different personality traits that you have, right? So humor was one of the traits. Like humor was a thing inside of you. So it says here, it says, right, the sense of amusing quality, funniness, jocular turn of mind is first recorded in 1680s, probably from the sense of a whim or caprice.
Huh. I feel like that, in
as
that time
determined
we get
by
lot
a
of words.
state of mind which is produced. So I think what it means was like I'm just taking a guess here, but I think it was kind of like the humors control your body. So if you are in a state of mind that's funny or, amusing, the humors are what did it. It was humorous.
Yeah, they draw enough blood out of you and you start laughing for no reason.
It was of the humors. I think maybe the original meaning was just more like of the humors. It was from the humors.
And I think that this, like the whole idea of liquids and humors in the body has only changed in the last couple hundred years, is as far as even in the 1800s, you have people doing bleedings and leachings and
leeches,
things like
right?
this.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, they still use leeches.
Yeah.
Now, technically, that actually does have medical value, though, but for different reasons.
I was going to say, not the reason that they were
different
doing
reasons.
it.
That's right. Yeah. So, anyway, guys, that's really fun. The word humor. Yeah. When we say humor me, originally, it comes from the idea that your body is controlled by these things called the humors, which are liquids that control your personality. I mean, it's a hard thing to describe. It's a really hard concept to describe. Okay, let's see. What other questions do we have here? Good morning, Ron. Hello. Hello, Istiak. Hello. You often chat with AI. Good. How to be successful? Well, maybe, AI is great for a lot of things, and you can ask it questions like that, but
I would say double check its answers.
Yeah, double check its answers all the time, but it's really good at doing certain things like math or grammar.
Yeah, math is really
right.
good.
So math and grammar, those two things are based on like algorithmic kind of things,
and
right?
patterns
that are set
and can't change.
That's right. So it's good for those kinds of things, but opinion-based kind of things, be careful.
Yeah,
because
it aggregates.
Yeah, and it will fantasize and create all kinds of concepts that maybe don't even exist. So it's fine to ask about things like, how to be successful, but just don't use it as like a guidebook. Right. Use it as like that was interesting.
Yeah.
Like that, I'd never thought about that before, but don't just follow what it says. I would not do that for sure. They gave some guy gave AI $100, right? It said, "Here's $100.
Make me a
millionaire," right? And it failed tremendously.
Right. It was like, put it all on black and roulette 10 times.
Right. Now, honestly, the more AI becomes integrated with our society, that may change. That it may have a much better, once it actually has real-time access to economic data of all kinds around the world, then it might be.
There are people who are using ChatGPT to run
stocks and
stock
stuff like that, right? Yeah, absolutely.
That buy and sell stock at certain times,
right? Ali Reza, this is my co-teacher. This is Clay. Everybody. I am a teacher. He is a teacher in training, and so we are both here to help you. Can I please present a live rock show for all of you? Not today.
I believe in a thing called love.
Yeah, I'm hoping to do some more music sometime soon. However, Hello Talk is not really that great for doing music because the way they have it designed, it's only the software only handles talking well. So it sounds good when you're talking, but if I play music and play drums, it sounds terrible.
I would say especially live. I would think you could maybe edit something up to post, but...
And you can.
Yes.
And I have. Like when I do that, it sounds like $1 million because it's full quality here. But when I try to do it live, it has to run everything through their stuff and then it comes out not sounding that good. Right. So they told me that maybe in March they're going to be working on some of the sound settings to adjust things a little bit. So I'm hoping that will change sometime soon. But if it doesn't sound good, it's a professionalism thing. Yeah. Right. I just can't do it, How can you improve speaking? Amna, you need to speak more. But Amna, if you want to ask me how to improve speaking, why not tell me what is wrong with your speaking? guys, sometimes when you want to ask a question, it's better if you ask it from a standpoint of telling them what's your problem, right? What are you struggling with? Because if you ask a general question like how to improve speaking, I'm only going to give general answers
Like
that
speaking.
that might not help you, right? Like you speak more, right? But if you tell me why speaking is hard for you, or what's wrong with
or
your
what
speaking,
certain words you
is
maybe
it the
have trouble with,
vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, what is it that's difficult for you, then maybe I can help you, right? But I don't know you guys, so when you ask questions that have a personal sense of your difficulties, okay, with English. So Miriam said, like someone doesn't want to do something or they shouldn't, and then we say humor me. Does this have a negative connotation? I
would say it's neutral to skews sort of negative, but
it's more like, just do it because they said to do it. But Miriam, when your parents tell you to do stuff, right, most of the time they tell you to do things that are valuable and important, but occasionally they tell you to do stuff that's like, do we really need to do that?
Right.
Like I just cut the grass yesterday. Do I really need to cut the grass again today? No, but just humor me. Just do it. He just wants it done, right? So I think in this case, I think you guys can relate to this, right? Many cultures around the world, whatever the elder people want, you do. Right. So even if it's silly, even if it's not needed or necessary, if that's what the old person wants, the grandma, the grandpa, that's what they want, then that's what you do.
Yeah. And so it's not negative.
It's not negative, right? That's what I'm trying to say. It's just humor.
Right.
Just do it, right? It's I don't think it has a negative or positive sense. Yeah. What are the 3 liquids inside the body, Jihi?
We can't talk about them.
Yeah, right. No, there are 4, according to the Greeks. And let's see. Let's do this. Explain the Greek humors.
It's going to give us a list of plays.
Yeah, maybe.
No, if we put comedies.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, the Greek humors, ancient theory of personality and health. The 4 humors were an ancient Greek theory used to explain human health, personality, and behavior. This concept originated with Hippocrates and was later expanded by Galen. Hippocrates and Galen are 2 very famous early doctors. The Hippocratic Oath is what every doctor must take to become a doctor in the West. You have to take an oath to do no harm.
Does that come from the same word as hypocrite? Or is that different?
I believe it does not. Okay. If I remember correctly, it does not.
Crate is different. I was just
right.
Just had an etymology question myself. See, us natives don't know.
It comes from the Greek word Hippokritos, which means stage actor or pretender or dissembler.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Hippokritos or Hippocristheny or something.
He's up there acting like a king, and he's not even a king.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah. So now let's see. What else does it say? So the 4 characteristics of the humors are sanguine,
that'd be blood,
choleric, melancholic, and phlegmatic.
Yeah,
phlegmatic.
Yeah,
phlegmatic.
phlegm, bile.
Right, right. So blood, yellow bile, black bile, and phlegm. And they represent air, fire, earth, and water, or spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Yeah, the Chinese still kind of have stuff kind of like this, similar, vaguely. So there you go. That's the 4 liquids. And another meaning is you think someone can't do something and we say humor me, like show me. Not that they can't do it.
I guess maybe if you're trying to maybe teach someone how to shoot a basketball and they say, oh, I can't. And you say, well, humor me.
Right.
To see what their shot looks like. Maybe.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that would be correct, Miriam. Yeah. And if you want to see me playing drums, if you go to my YouTube channel, you can see lots of videos with me playing drums. I think that's it. Yeah, there you go. There's my YouTube. No, Miriam, you're fine. Your questions are good questions. It's fine. Is it better to learn American English pronunciation or British? Whatever you want.
I mean, if you need a reason, it would probably be whoever you speak to more often.
Right,
but it wouldn't matter.
There is neither is better or worse than the other. Yeah. It's like asking, do you like rock music or jazz music? Yeah. They're both great music.
And for the most part, they can understand each other. You get into the countryside and the rural areas of both countries, and it may get a little tougher.
Right. But for the most part.
For the most part,
yeah. I told a story about how when I was in Spain and I was at the museum and I was in line waiting to get in the museum, there was a Scottish guy behind me and started talking to me. I have never struggled so hard in my life.
When I was in Scotland, there was definitely some of that because we went to some rural areas in Scotland.
I mean, this was like, I Train Spotting. Yep. I love Train Spotting. I love that movie. And some of those voices are really, like Spud. Was it Spud? Yeah.
It was the old guys at the bar or whatever that I remember that like you can't understand a word they're saying and then they just start laughing.
But the one guy, the skinny dude with the bald head, Spud, I think his name was.
Real
when he was all
creepy, crazy
out,
one,
you couldn't understand him either. And honestly, this guy was like he stepped out of that movie, Train Spotting.
What are you doing in Scotland in December?
Oh my God, man, it was so thick. I struggled hard. The second meaning comes across more sarcastic. Yeah, like I said, Miriam, I just don't think I want to use the word sarcasm when we're talking about humor me. It's not really sarcasm.
Because you're always meaning humor me.
Yeah.
You're not meaning.
That's right. Sarcasm means that you're doing something that you don't really mean, but, in that sense. But when you say humor me, you're saying, I know you don't think this is good or you should or we need to, but let's do it anyway because I want to, okay? Or because I think we should, right? Not for any reason or logic. Let's just do it, right? That's really what it is. When you just say humor me, you're saying just do it. Like we're not talking about whether it is good or whether it isn't good or whether we should or whether we shouldn't. Just do it, okay? It's really like Nike.
Yes.
Just do it, man.
And another word that comes from Greek.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, just do it by Nike is supposed to be like seize the day. Like, but in this case, you could also say just do it. And it means like humor me, like just do it, man. Like, don't ask me why or whether we should, just do it. Okay. Humor me. All right. That's what it means. Okay. Sarcasm is a concept that's difficult to understand in some cases. For many cultures, I think it's
even within cultures, sometimes sarcasm does not come across as or the same way that it's interpreted.
The style is different.
Yeah, some people may interpret it differently, even within the same cultures.
Yeah. And I am going to try to not talk over you so much because
you're fine.
I noticed this morning when my mom was watching TV, the Today Show, they were talking over each other so much. And it's like 4 people. And, it's like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah. Anyway, whoops. Why can't vampires eat spicy food? I think I remember this joke.
I don't know. Tell me.
Yeah, why can't vampires eat spicy food, Nereo? I can't remember.
I'll say the punchline in Dracula's voice. Because they eat blood.
Yes, there you go. And, the other day I had a joke that I wanted to tell. Let me see if I can find it here. Where was that joke?
And then I think there's the Chinese
here we
sound
go.
out blood.
Let me see if I can tell this correctly. 为什么鸡要过马路？马路为什么鸡要过了马路？大家你知道吗？为什么鸡要过马路？
It's the classic "Why'd the chicken cross the road?" It took me a second, but I did get it. 什么？
为什么鸡要过马路？ Why did the chicken cross the road? 因为对面有机会。机会 means opportunity.
Oh, right. Yes. Yes.
And ji means chicken, so it's
and I've
chicken
always thought
opportunity.
that, like, and it's funny, like, I can't remember the tone for muscle, but it's the same.
It's
Jiro.
Yeah, Jiro.
And it's, but I don't know if it's the same tone, but it's funny that chicken, you know, and muscle is the same.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I asked ChatGPT to write a joke in Chinese that's a chicken cross the road joke.
That's that's pretty good.
I thought that was pretty good for ChatGPT. It came up with a pretty good one.
That
is. I don't know if that's the correct way to ask to cross the road, though. That seemed a little awkward.
Yeah,
but,
it did.
Yeah. But close enough.
Yeah, wait, Shimaji Malu.
Yeah. Not bad. Okay.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
God, it blown up my phone.
Okay, guys, if you want to ask questions, we are here to answer questions. You know, I mean, we haven't really answered too many today, but if you have questions about grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, reading, writing, listening, speaking, confidence, whatever, you know, as long as it's not controversial, we're good.
Why do we say a car is a clunker versus a lemon?
They're two different things. Yeah, I mean, every lemon is a clunker, but not every clunker is a lemon.
Yeah, I feel like a lemon is closer to when someone's selling you the car, whereas you can just own your own clunker.
A lemon is a car that you bought that, like my father bought a Dodge, was it Dodge? No, Plymouth Caravan, right? And we bought it, and we ended up having that thing 5 different times. We had 5 different ones, like it was like replaced each time. And finally, they said they didn't want to fix it anymore. My dad actually printed out a sign that said, "I bought this piece of beep at Jeff Weiler," and he drove around town with that in the windows for months. Yeah, and so it's a lemon because he bought it and it was broken, and then he took it back to get fixed, and it was still broken, and it tried to fix it again, it was still broken, or they gave him another one, and that one was broken too. That's a lemon, right? So a lemon means a car that was manufactured, not just a car. I mean, it should be anything, but
it generally applies to automobiles.
That's right. It's most commonly used for cars. Define the concept of the lemon car or product.
It's going to tell us to make lemonade.
It refers to a vehicle or item that is defective, faulty, or of substandard quality. Okay? A clunker, on the other hand, that's just when I think of a clunker, I think of a car that you've had for a long time.
Like my car.
It's an old car.
Yeah, it's not a lemon because it works and runs fine.
We also call them a beater.
Yeah.
It's my beater. It means it's a car that you can beat up and you don't worry about it. It's not a Porsche that you go, "Oh my God, I got a little scratch in it. Oh no." Yeah. No, a beater and a clunker. The beauty of having a beater or a clunker is you don't care.
We also use some impolite. Me and my brother use impolite words to sometimes call our car.
Yeah.
A something box.
That's right. Yeah. So anyway, guys, a clunker in general just means a car that is old and beat up. Not necessarily like faulty or something.
And when I think of lemon, I almost think of something newer, like you're talking about. I mean. Like it comes off the line,
right?
Not working.
Already not working. It was substandard quality, right? That's what I mean.
Whereas a clunker, it's been going for 40 years, and that's why it sounds clunky now because it's put in the work.
Yeah, a clunker is an onomatopoeia. That
it's the sound.
It's the sound the car makes. It's an old car, so normally a car has a nice, but this one goes clunk, 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 clunk.
And then you turn the radio up and you don't hear it, and all the problems of your car are gone.
Right, so it's called a clunker. Okay, and that's a slang term.
Yes,
that's a slang term. All right, let's see. We have another joke. Why did the math book look so sad?
Oh, maybe I know this one.
Why did the math book look so sad? I don't know why. Here's a good one,
He
too.
had too many problems.
Where was the answer? I didn't see the answer. Why does the math books look sad? I don't know. Why? Because it has so many problems. Oh, that's what we call a knee slapper. Here's a good one. Are you ready? What should you do if you're addicted to seaweed?
I don't know.
Sea kelp.
Oh. It took me a sec to put it together. I was like, oh, yeah.
Sea kelp.
Yes.
Kelp is a kind of seaweed.
And it's supposed to sound like seek help.
Yeah, seek help. Go find help.
Yeah,
Seek
and
help.
we say that to people sarcastically a lot of the time, I think.
Seek help. Yeah, we do. Yeah. That's a good example of sarcasm.
Yes.
Sarcasm when you say when someone says something kind of funny or silly or crazy and you look at them and you say, "Hey man, seek help."
Yeah.
That's sarcastically you're telling them, "Hey, you're a little crazy. You should talk to a doctor." Yeah, okay. But that is sarcasm. That's not serious, right? That's why we're saying the other way of using is not sarcasm. Right. Yeah. Yes, this is Teacher Clay. I am Teacher Mark. Okay, let's see. Thank you for the gifts, Dun. You have problems pronouncing the word favorite. Favorite.
And if you're listening to a lot of, English native stuff, you might hear it without the O as pronounced, but you want to pronounce it.
That's right. Yeah. Why do you want to pronounce it? Because what does the word favorite mean? It means the thing that you favor the most. To favor something means to show preference for something. That's the one you prefer. You like it more. So that's why you have to say favorite. Favor, because to favor something in the verb, not a favor, but to favor, is to show preference for something. That's what you like. You favor vanilla more than chocolate. You favor red more than blue. Okay? It's like prefer. Okay? Oh, I got sneeze.
I hate that.
Oh, it went away.
I hate that. I need the release of the sneeze. I hate it.
Oh, that's going to come to me later.
Yeah.
So, favorite. The car is beat up, or the beater means the same as a clunker. Yeah, a beat up car, a beater, and a clunker pretty much are all the same. Yeah. I think the only difference between a beater and a clunker is an old car that it works, but it's old and, maybe it doesn't work perfectly, but it works well enough for you, right? That's a clunker. And you don't really care too much about it because it's old. But a beater is one that, like, you really just, I don't care what happens.
You might ramp it off a bridge.
Yeah.
See what happens.
If you back up into a tree by accident,
you don't even turn around and look.
You don't even get out
hit
to
the gas and
You're
go
like,
forward.
Oops. That's a beater, okay? So a clunker, if you hit a tree with a clunker, you might be like, oh no, be careful, man, the engine's going to stop working.
I deliver prescriptions for a pharmacy, and the pharmacy I work for has multiple cars that we use. And most of them all of them would qualify as a beater, as something that you just slam the gas down, and if you hit something, that's okay. I back into all kinds of rails and things and don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And that's a beater.
Did you hear about the chiropractor who was so relaxed?
No.
He preferred a laid-back approach. Yeah, so if you guys don't ask questions, we're going to just tell bad jokes. That's how this is going to work. To get you guys to ask questions, we're going to keep telling bad jokes.
Hello, Golmareza. Is that?
Can I teach massive? What you want me to teach massive what? The pronunciation of massive? That one's not so hard. Massive. Good evening to you, Golmareza. Oh, passive. Can I teach passive? I can. You mean passive speaking.
Oh, right, like passive voice.
Yeah. Right. I love it when you can get answers quickly that now like, so this is even better, right? As a teacher, I can ask ChatGPT, right? And then I can read the answer, and as I'm reading, I can explain it better.
Yeah, and you can even see, okay, well, this is right or this is not.
Right, that's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when I did my common mistakes with prepositions the other night, there were a few of them that I had to say, you know what, that's not a mistake, man.
Right.
Like, they pointed out when you say, this is so delicious, they said that's wrong. And I was like, man, everybody and their mother says that.
Yeah, that is not wrong.
The only reason they say it's wrong is because when you use so, it's always supposed to be followed with a that. I'm so hungry that I could eat a horse.
Right.
Right? There's supposed to be a cause and effect.
Right.
But that is absolutely
not
colloquially, completely not a problem, right? So there were a couple of those. That,
I mean, so much is used, you know.
Right.
Like
but that's what I mean. Like, that's why I'm telling you guys, grammar, don't get too hung up on it, because there are several examples of grammar problems that every native speaker makes. Every single one of them. And many of them, or most of them, don't even know it's a problem.
And I was going to say, and in future, they may not be a problem at all. It may end up becoming a rule because language changes.
That's true. Right. Know? That's exactly right. Like when I was a boy and they asked you, how are you? You always had to reply with, I'm well. I'm
and
well.
You had to say, may I use the bathroom?
That's right. Yeah. Now, what do we do now? You are allowed to say, how are you? I'm good. I'm good is okay now. Right? They've changed
depending
the rules,
on who you're talking
right?
to.
Well,
I just mean I deliver to so many old people.
Right,
yeah, exactly.
Right. But but from a linguistic rules standpoint, it's accepted now,
100%.
Right? And then what was the other one we were talking about? I totally lost it.
What was?
I don't remember either. That's okay. Anyway. I think you know what we're talking about. Just that grammar rules do change, and grammar rules, not everybody knows. Like I said, the majority of people, we use so and very interchangeably all the time.
Yeah.
It's so hot, it's very hot. It's so cold, it's very cold. This is so good, it's very good. So that's completely common.
And really. You could even put really in there, which also has more multiple sort of meanings.
Yeah. So that example, I was like, I had to look at it and be like, okay, I remember that's true, but like that is not. Yeah, that's not something to be concerned about. Okay, let's see. So passive tense. Somebody wanted me to explain passive tense, right? Passive voice, not tense. Sorry, passive voice versus active voice. So passive voice, everybody, is a grammatical structure where the focus is on the action being performed, not on the person. Okay, so let's take some examples. Right, active voice would be the subject performs the action. So the chef cooked the meal. The chef cooked the meal. That's active voice. The chef did it. To say passive voice, the meal was cooked by the chef. Now we're talking about the meal. We're talking about the thing, right? So active voice is talking about the person who does something. Passive voice is talking about the thing which was done by someone. Okay? So, for example, let's see. She wrote the book. The book was written by her. The window was broken last night, right? She broke the window last night, or the window broke last night. It was broken last night, right? Let's see. A new law was passed. We're talking about the law, right? So when should you use passive voice? You should use passive voice when the doer or the person who's doing something is unknown or unimportant, right? So that's one where it's like the window was broken last night. Who broke it is not specified and it's not important, okay? The window was broken last night, okay? There's no doer. So that's when you should use passive voice. If there's no person involved, okay, you're using passive voice. Or to emphasize the action rather than the person. If you want to focus on the thing rather than the person, then that's when you use passive voice, right? For example, a new law was passed, okay? The focus is on the law, not on the person who passed it. You could say a new law was passed by blah, 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 this person, right?
Or this group.
Right, exactly. And then number 3, you should use passive voice when you're talking in a formal, scientific, or with objective writing, right? So the experiment was conducted in a lab. That's passive voice.
That's a lot of writing that I have to do in my English classes that I'm, American literature. You can't use any I or anything like that. It has to be a lot of, your MLA stuff.
Right.
It's all.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying. It's
really
man,
annoying. The MLA stuff and all the APA and all this stuff, it really is getting to a point where it's like, you're...
Why?
Honestly, you're doing more damage to writing.
I know what you're funneling it into, homogenizing it to where it all has to be basically the same, and it's like, what's the point of all of us writing the same paper?
Right,
basically?
and historically, it goes against the grain that language is supposed to change.
Exactly.
And if you rein people in so much that you tell them they are not allowed to make any differences, then there will be none.
Well, right? Another gatekeepy education thing that.
Right. So there are times when you can make a new word, everybody. You can make a new word, and it is completely fine to use that word on an academic paper because language is formative. You can form it. You can create it. So it's a creative act. You're allowed to create using language. Okay, as long as you stand by it, right? If somebody asks you, what do you mean by this thing? And you can tell them, well, I meant this, then that's what it means. Okay, they can't tell you you're wrong. That's the way language works. How many words were created that way by people like Shakespeare and John Milton, who they took 2 words and put them together and made a new word, or they used a word in a way that had never been done before, or they even coined a new word completely.
Right.
Shakespeare.
So. We have Shakespeare to thank for hundreds of words in our dictionary.
Milton too.
Yeah.
Hello, Q47. Thank you for the good vibes.
Hello.
What does what mean? Can I give information about some words which have get in the past participle of verb like?
Like get caught.
Get caught. Can I give you some information? Well, what I should do is this. Explain all the various phrasal verbs using get. Now, this is going to take forever, though, because do you know how many variations on get there are? So, Neymar, I can't give you all of them because there are too many. All right? As a matter of fact, let me do this. How many phrasal verbs using get? $177.
Wow. And for the rest of the stream, we're going to say them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Get up, get along, get by, get over, get into, get out, get on, get off, get through, get away. There are 177 of them, Neymar. So,
and there's probably more, really, you know, like because you could add stuff to it.
Why are there so many? Because of what we just said. Mm-hmm. Language is creative, so people put these together and make new ones all the time. Okay? You've always had trouble pronouncing the word southern. 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 It's a voiced TH sound. Southern. Okay?
I could see how you could confuse it with thousand, though, because it's almost like the S and T are switched, you know? It's
yeah, kind of, yeah. Yeah. Time for tongue twisters? I'll do tongue twisters if you want me to. Can I introduce to some history of the United States? Antoine, I don't want to go into that only because of, well, there are two reasons I would only want to go into that. One, that's not what we're here for. Most people are here for English. And two, because there are aspects of American history that do get political.
I would say 99% of it. Yeah.
It's hard to talk about any country's history without talking about the politics of said country.
Right, which is in the cultural context, which is all the same thing.
Right. And to be honest with you, they make entire classes about this. They write entire books about this.
And people still disagree.
Yeah, right. If I asked you to introduce some history of China, it would be hard too. Now, China is 6,000 years old. America is only a few hundred years old, but it's still really hard to talk about. There's a lot that happened.
Especially without politics. It makes
it would be really hard.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, bordering on impossible.
Because today we're still very much influenced, because like you said, we're still a very young country. So
that's right. Yeah. For one, we want to say something said in a sarcastic remark. Can I say she threw a jab at me? To throw a jab at someone means either they said something like a joke that's kind of like a making fun of you kind of a joke, or they said something.
It's almost like if they say something sarcastic, it would be throwing a jab.
But I also think you could possibly use this to talk about somebody who's talking, like angrily towards you or something, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean. Like, again, throw a jab. A jab, everybody, is a punch, right? So she threw a jab at me,
and it's not it's a less powerful punch.
So in this case, it would mean that she attacked you in some way, right? But it could be a playful attack, or it could be a real attack. Okay, so she threw a jab at me could be, oh, my friend made a joke, she threw a jab at me, that means she was joking about me, but it's playful, so it's okay. Mm-hmm. But, I'm really mad at Clay because, he said something about me that was really mean, and he threw a jab at me. I mean, it's kind of awkward, but it works, right? So it's a figurative meaning. Sometimes it's sarcastic or ish, but sometimes it's serious, actually. Should native speakers use negative inversion in speaking?
I'm not even sure what that means.
I know, right? The things that they describe, the way they describe things, that makes it harder to know what it is. Wait a minute. Okay, let's see. It's a grammatical structure in which a negative or limiting expression is placed at the beginning of a sentence, causing the subject and auxiliary verb to invert, swap places. Oh!
Yeah.
Don't you love the way they explain grammar?
Forget about all that.
So it means the basic structure of, I have never seen such a beautiful sunset. Okay, but a negative inversion would be, never have I seen such a beautiful sunset.
Right. Never have I.
Right.
Really.
Yeah. Never. So the only time we ever use this is when we're playing a game called Never Have I Ever.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, if someone said never have I ever, it sounds kind of pretentious and what we say hoity-toity.
Yes. Rarely have I ever.
That's right. Goodness me.
Yes. Oh.
Oh. Right? Yes. It sounds kind of...
Oh, someone get the vapors.
Too proper. That's right. Yeah. Clutching my pearls.
Yes.
Right. So what this means is, in this case, you don't need it.
No,
really.
I just forget about all that.
It's a very rare thing that's not used very often. And the only situation when I ever hear it used now is, like I said, maybe my mother is very, she's insulted by something that someone said, and she's in church.
Never have I heard such horrible words.
Never have I heard such terrible language, right? She could say, I've never heard such terrible language. And both are completely the same thing. But one, because it sounds more formal, it sounds more upset. Okay, that's the only difference. Okay, but yes, I kind of agree with Clay that the negative inversion in real life.
What's the point?
Yeah,
yeah. And if you're trying to learn English, and that's your goal, like to actually learn to be able to speak it, I would not focus on negative inversion.
Right. And some other examples are like, I have never heard such nonsense. Never have I heard such nonsense.
Yeah.
This is an example of both of them are fine, and you can use whichever one you want to. There's nothing wrong with using these, but why when you can use the simple one?
It's a bit Yoda-ish.
Right? Why? And but I also want you to understand that, again, this is not a right or wrong. This is a personal preference. If you want to use never have I ever on the, regularly, you do you. Okay? You can also say it in the simple form, and that's fine. Okay? Language is personal. Let's see. Neymar wants the glasses, but Neymar, you don't want to say borrow me. You want to say lend me. Lend me your glasses. Or you can say, may I borrow your glasses? Okay, so to borrow is when I want to borrow something from you. But if you say borrow me, you mean lend me your thing, which means someone else is giving you your thing. So the bank has money that you need. They lend you money, right? You are the borrower. They are the lender. They give you what you need. You borrow what you need. Okay? Common mistake. Neon God. What does neon God mean?
I think that's just like a literary sort of phrase to talk about. I think, isn't that the name of a novel or something?
It says it's a series, yeah.
Yeah.
The term neon god can refer to a deity in Chinese mythology, a concept in New Age religion, and a type of dance. So it has three possible meanings. In Chinese mythology, Nejia is a child god in Chinese mythology. Nejia. Okay, there we go. I wasn't familiar with that.
Maybe I'm saying it wrong. I could be. But I do know. He's got famous movies coming out right now about.
Okay, so apparently there's a Chinese god that is referred to as the neon god. There's in some New Age religion, the term neon god can also mean it just means it's another way to say God. That's all. It just means they're like a new age way to say God.
Yeah, and I used to think of it as like in Vegas and the neon gods.
Right.
The giant cowboy.
Well, that's because, again, language is whatever words pop into your head. You can use them to make whatever associations.
And especially with some phrasal, some random phrase like that.
And then in dance, apparently, the electric techno neon gods is a type of dance that combines traditional dance with electronic music. Well, that's kind of cool.
That was my techno dance.
Interesting. And then it says in film, Rebels of the Neon God is a film that refers to Nejia, the Chinese mythological god. The film explores the performances of defiance of teenagers who are forced to generate their own meaning. Interesting. There you go. I had never heard Neon God before myself.
Yeah, I thought.
Hello, Maria, over in YouTube.
Hi, Maria.
That's right. The frog was dissected by the scientist. That's passive. That's right. Ali Khan has a question. What's the most efficacious approach to mastering and internalizing new vocabulary?
By writing out sentences like that.
Right. So please be patient, everybody. Let me see how far back are we?
Ooh, we're pretty far.
Yeah, we are pretty far. Be patient. Hold your questions for a minute. Let me catch up with some questions, okay, guys? Please hold your questions for just a minute while I try to answer questions, okay? So Ali Khan wants to know about what's the best way to internalize new vocabulary. And I want you to think about it this way. Learning new words is just like meeting new people. If I see you, Ali Khan, in the street in Pakistan, you see me and I see you. Tomorrow you won't remember me because you saw me, but that's it. That's not enough to remember. If I say hello to you and introduce myself, you might remember me for a few days or a week, but then you'll forget in a couple of months. If I have lunch with you and I talk to you and I ask you, where are you from? What do you do? What do you like to do for fun? All of these things, I'm going to remember you and you're going to remember me. So when you try to learn new words and when you guys memorize words, and here's what that's like, okay? I'm going to go have lunch with Clay, and I want to remember Clay for the rest of my life. So we're going to go have lunch. We're sitting at the table here. We're having lunch. I'm going to look at Clay, and here's all I'm going to do for the whole lunch. I'm going to look at him and say, your name is Clay. Your name is Clay. 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 That's what memorizing is, guys.
Right.
That's what you're doing when you're memorizing.
It's not applicable in real life.
Right. It's not applicable in real life, and it's a shallow way of learning, right? So will I remember his name? Maybe. But that's it. But if I ask Clay, hey, nice to meet you. Where are you from? And he tells me where he's from. Now I have some information. I might remember more. If he tells me, what's your job? Oh, now I know about his job. I might remember him more. And what do you like to do for fun? If he tells me that, I might remember him more. Guess what? Words have the same thing. Words come from someplace.
Linking elements is
right?
The most important.
So, for example, the word preview comes from Latin, okay? The word engine comes from French. Cafe comes from French. Restaurant comes from French. School, book, kindergarten, those come from German. So if you know where they come from, that's information that can help you, right? And the word run has a job. If I say, hey, run, what's your job? Oh, I'm a verb. That's a job, right? So is it a noun? Is it a verb? Is it an adjective? What does it do? What's its function? That's information that can help you remember, right? And then what do you like to do for fun? That means how would you use it in a sentence, both seriously and for fun, right? So you could use it in a serious sentence, like let's try the word to beat, right? To beat, to hit something, right? So I can write one word, beat is a verb, and I can say to beat something. I could say the carpet was very dirty, so I beat it with a stick. The carpet was very dirty, so I beat it with a stick. That's one way to do it. That's a normal way to do it. But I could also say, my little brother is annoying, so sometimes I beat him with a stick. Now I created a funny story in my head. And because it's funny, you will remember. That's what makes it efficacious. Okay? So words are like people. If you don't spend time with them, you won't remember them. If all you do is look at that person and say their name, Clay, 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 that's the process of memorizing, guys. It's a facile, shallow, boring, not engaged way to learn. So that's the best way to learn vocabulary. All right. Thank you. That's my answer. Now, there are other techniques. I have other things I can do, but the general concept is just that you need to spend more time with the words if you want to remember the words. Okay? How to teach literature to high school students and what activities should I do in the classroom? The Odyssey, for example.
I would say try to curate what you're actually giving them as far as the literature, because you get a lot of literature classes have the same old, and you have to have the standard
classics,
stuff,
right,
your classic stuff. But where you have range, I would say try to range it into something engaging, because a lot of the old stuff, the Odyssey is engaging, but a lot of the other old stuff is just not, and it's not interesting, and it's, there is some cultural meaning to be able to gain from it, but overall you want to engage these younger people, so I would say try to find literature that can do that.
However, I want to give you a completely opposite opinion that I think would have worked for me in high school. The Old Man and the Sea. we were just talking about this book the other day by Hemingway. It's a classic book. It's a book that's recommended often in reading lists. It's a boring book.
I was going to say, it's incredibly boring, like a lot of Hemingway.
But guess what? You know what? If my teacher would have come into class and say, hey, guys, I've got a book for you today. It's only about 100 pages. It's super boring. And what we're going to do is we're going to read it and talk about how boring it is. We're going to talk about how stupid and boring this book is.
At least say what it is out front.
If you would have told me that, I would have totally been like, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
I like that. Let's tear this book down.
Yeah, if you can't, that makes sense. So if you can't find literature that is engaging,
then
find ways to engage.
It is.
Yeah, find a way to engage with the boring literature.
That's exactly right.
I like that.
Yeah. And then to be honest with you, so many teachers are really just not very creative.
I just use the prescribed, list of literature.
Right. I mean, if you teach a story like, for example, what's a good one? Let me see. Hold on. Let me get a classic list of classic novels.
Gift of the Magi.
Of classics. So if you teach a story like
Don Quixote, maybe.
Yeah, or
Of Mice and Men. That's a shorter one.
Or Great Expectations, right? That's one that's painful sometimes for some people to go to.
That's a seriously boring one.
Right. But what I would say is that book requires somebody that can paint a picture for you so that you can see what it is, right?
It's boring when the movie's boring.
Right.
That's when you know.
So, but each part, you need to talk about it and talk about it in an engaging way. And if you can't find something literally engaging, then talk about how it's not engaging.
Yeah.
That's what I think they should have done a lot more of.
I agree with that. At least give your real opinion instead of just here's the worksheet.
And especially it's so presumptive to say, this is a classic.
And this is what you're supposed to get out of it. It's like, well, I didn't get that.
And again, The Old Man and the Sea is another book that every English class will talk about that book, and they'll say, well, this means this, and this means that, and this means that. But Hemingway himself said, I wrote that book and it's about nothing.
Yeah. Well, and even in my American literature class, they start with like letters from Christopher Columbus, and which are almost advertisements and pleading sort of things, which are, it's not literature by any stretch, but it still has to be studied for whatever reason, and you're supposed to gain something from it, when in reality there's not a whole lot outside of the historical text to be gained from it from a literary standpoint, but they still have to teach it because it's part of the whole curriculum.
That's true. Yeah. Let's see. Hashem says, I recently realized that the indirect object can take the subject role in passive sentences. Probably that's true. Right. But did you know that in music, when you play a sharp 7 chord, it sounds really pretty? No, you didn't know that, but it's a weird thing to talk about because it's music. It's music. Don't talk about it. Listen to it. Right? So instead of talking about the sharp 7 and the flat 11 and the sharp 9 and the sharp 13, which these are real musical terms that musicians can talk about. But guess what? Even we know that that's what we call nerd talk. Yeah. And what it means is you're losing the picture, man.
Right.
You've lost the forest for the trees. You've lost the trees for the leaves,
And I guess it does depend on what you want to do with the language.
Yeah, now, that's correct. But
overall, I 100%
that's
agree
right.
with you.
I don't want any of my students to walk around thinking about language in that way.
No,
I don't.
No.
I want them using language to express themselves, and I do not want them thinking about indirect objects or direct objects or subjects or objects or passive or conditionals. I don't want them thinking about any of that. And guess what? I never think about any of that.
No.
Never. English teachers, we speak English. I never
I also
ever think about
that's
those things.
that's almost like getting into the translating in your head. You know, when
that's
you're
right.
starting to think about all these extra, where does this fit and where does that?
Right.
It's a translation process instead of just a speaking process.
It becomes overthinking.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what? Jazz music. One of my favorite quotes about jazz music. They say talking about jazz is like dancing about architecture.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
And that's exactly right. Architecture, if you see a building and you say, wow, that building is beautiful, I'm going to dance. That's weird, man.
Yeah.
Just appreciate the beauty of the building.
Right.
Jazz music is meant to be appreciated, not talked about, right? Talking about jazz is like dancing about architecture. Okay? So, I want you to learn these things, but I want you to understand that when you speak like that, when you use terms like that, it doesn't make the language more understandable. It actually makes it less understandable.
Yeah.
Okay,
and it doesn't put you into a place where you're now like a higher speaker or something like that.
That's exactly right. Yeah, no, it does not. That's exactly right.
It doesn't make you a better speaker of, like you said, it could even impact it the other way. Negatively.
Right. And as a matter of fact, I know a lot of musicians who know a lot of music theory, but they're not good musicians.
Right.
So they know lots of all the rules. They know all the rules back and forth, up and down, every which way that you can know the rules. They know the rules. But the music they make is not that good.
Well, and that's almost like me. I don't quite have it to that level, but I know a lot about music just based on who I've known and who have been my friends over the years. But I couldn't make music out of it because I don't understand the basic language.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, so understanding the basics is good, but noun, verb, adverb, adjective, those are good words to know. But when you start getting into the weeds of things like, was that first conditional or second conditional? Is that passive voice or active voice? Is that,
present perfect?
Right,
or,
That's when you honestly are, no, you should not be a walking grammar book.
Right.
Okay, you shouldn't.
Because they don't even teach a lot of that in American high schools here in the U.S.
Right. All right, let's see. I've also heard someone say, I really hope she doesn't flunk me, and I guess flunk means fail. That's correct. Yeah. To flunk out is a phrasal verb that means you failed something. You had to leave the class. All right. Okay, we've already answered that question. All right, thanks for being patient, guys. We're trying to keep up with the comments, but there's a lot of comments. You can't pronounce the word simultaneously correctly. Open your mouth more, Neymar.
Simultaneously.
Simultaneously. 6 syllables. Simultaneously. Is shadowing good for enhancing your speaking? Of course it is, but don't shadow just anyone. Shadow someone good.
Yeah, and maybe not just one person either. Yeah.
Exactly. Of course not just one person.
Right.
Choose a few people you think are great speakers. Shadow one, focus on one at a time.
Yeah, right, yeah. Don't have multiple streams going in.
But it's like being a musician, right? When you're a drummer, you have your favorite drummer. Oh, that's my favorite drummer, John Bonham from Led Zeppelin. And you study him and you listen to him and you shadow him. And then later you have another drummer that's your favorite drummer, Steve Gadd. So you follow him and you shadow him and you learn from him. And then later you have another drummer that you like. That's how language is too. Find someone who's brilliant and shadow them and learn from them. Why are they brilliant? Is it the way they speak, like the speed, the tone, the intonation, the vocabulary, their pronunciation, their enunciation? What is it about their speaking? So shadowing is good if you shadow someone good. And shadowing is good if you ask a lot of questions about why does this person sound good? Is it their speed? Is it their pronunciation? Is it their vocabulary? Is it their grammar? Is it their body language? Is it the way they dress? You know, like, what is it about that person that makes them special? So if you just shadow someone and just listen to them, not that useful.
There's not a lot to gain. Yeah.
But if you make notes, if you sit down and really look at them and say, wow, their vocabulary is so much better than mine, and their pronunciation, then it's very valuable.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. Are there other phrases to show sarcasm? Yes, there are many.
Yeah, and I feel like sarcasm is tone a lot of the time. You can say things that are not sarcastic, but depending on your tone, they can become sarcastic. Like, I feel like if you call someone a genius, generally, it's done in a sarcastic way.
Yeah.
Not always, obviously, because it means...
Right. If someone does something silly, you know, oh, way to go, genius.
Yeah, or Einstein.
yeah, good job, Einstein. Right? If someone does something kind of silly, right? Stupid, you know. Most of the time we're saying that in fun, right? Like if I said that to him, he knows I'm not really saying you're stupid, you know.
He's actually calling me a genius.
Right. Yeah. So some other phrases that are sarcastic, oh, great, just what I needed.
Yeah.
Right? So if you know, I'm about to leave work, and now suddenly my boss comes by with 10 new reports I have to do. Oh, great, that's just what I needed, right? Well, that went well.
Yeah.
Right? So if you go into a meeting and the meeting goes really poorly, right? Everybody's mad and upset. When you leave, you go, well, that went well, didn't it? You know? And that's sarcastic. If you say, yeah, because that makes total sense, right? Somebody says something that doesn't make sense, and you say, oh yeah, that makes total sense. That's sarcastic. You mean the opposite. Okay.
Genius,
oh, sure. Take your time. Take your time.
Yeah.
So that one could be, you're in a rush, right? We're late. We're late for an appointment, and you're tying your shoe. Oh, hold on a minute. I need to tie my shoe.
Take your time.
Sure. Take your time. Take your time. It's not like we're already 30 minutes late, right? Take your time, right? So again, it's tonal. Yeah, what a genius. Wow, you must be fun at parties.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
If someone is too serious about something, right? If someone seems to be a little too serious about something.
If they're bringing up weird English things.
Yeah. Right. Like grammar. Yeah. If you're constantly saying, well, you used an indirect object when you should have used a direct object. Yeah. Then somebody will look at you and say, well, you must be fun at parties. So it means, man, grammar is not fun. Nobody wants to talk about that stuff, right? So remember that, okay? Okay, and anyway, that's a few examples. There are many more, okay? All right, thank you for the gifts, everyone. Some phrasal verbs and the adjunct pronouns that come between the verb and the prepositions, for example. Again, like, guys, I'm glad you can talk like that on the one hand. On the other hand, I'm concerned.
Right.
Because I feel like you guys are...
You could be gaining in other areas that are more helpful.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. You should say, hello, Victor, old boy.
Old boy.
Hello, old boy.
Old boy? That's a bit of a African-American phrase.
Throw a jab is the same as throw shade. No, not exactly.
It's similar.
They're similar.
And throw shade is it's just throw shade, not a shade.
Yeah, that's right. Throwing shade at someone.
And that's a much more contemporary phrase.
But I think, though, throwing a jab is often not...
Shade.
It's not serious.
Yeah, I was going to say shade. Shade is
usually serious.
Shade is a higher level of insult.
So
sort of.
when you throw shade at someone, it means you really don't like them,
right?
And you're saying bad things about them. When you throw a jab at someone, it could just be a joke.
Yeah.
Right. So throwing shade is. I don't think that's most of the time. That's not a joke.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That's a serious thing. Okay. The sounds of silence, indeed, yes.
Yeah. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yeah.
I've come to talk with you again.
I saw Simon and Garfunkel in concert downtown.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, my mom saw Paul Simon in the 80s at Madison Square Garden, and she said during, I can't remember what song, I think it was Me and Julio down by the schoolyard, or and there was a conga line around the whole Madison Square Garden, and everybody joined in.
Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to keep up with the
okay.
comments here. Let's see.
We've
I know we're still right. Well, it says that, but it's not always accurate, right? How do you master the words with STR in RP pronunciation? What do you mean, like strip? I'm
not sure.
RP. What is RP pronunciation? I hate when they use abbreviations I don't know.
Because I was thinking RP when I think about it means role playing, but that's because I'm a nerd.
Meaning, let's see. Received pronunciation is a standard British English accent. See, why would we know that? No. So, Rithwick, we don't know anything about British pronunciation because we are not British, so I can't answer that question in regards to...
You gotta say things like bottle of water.
Right, yeah. In regards to RP pronunciation, I have no idea what to tell you. The Queen's English.
Yes,
that's
the Queen's English.
Right? Which, actually, no, it's not the Queen's English anymore. It's the King's English.
The Royal People pronunciation. That's what
right,
RP stands for.
My website, yes, let's give my website. I haven't given that in a while. If you want to follow me, then go to my website, which is right there, AFIEC English. And you can also find my YouTube, which is right here. Okay? Yeah, received pronunciation. I'm an ESL teacher. Never heard that before. Yeah. But again, there are a bunch of things about British pronunciation and accents that are very formalized.
Who started the gatekeeping of English?
Right, exactly. Right. That's exactly right. Yeah. Okay, guys, sorry. We're trying to keep up with the comments, but you guys there's too many comments. There's 126 people here. So please be patient.
I feel like the numbers have been up recently. I think
they have been because the schedule, right? Yeah, they're getting better now. Yeah, it's still not. It's not as many new followers. It's old people, but that's okay.
Well, yeah,
it'll gain in strength. I don't know what this is referring to.
Did he ask a question before?
I don't think so. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to read comments, guys. Just please be patient. Hello to all the new people. Whenever I revise my notes, I can recognize the words easily. However, I never remember to use them in any conversation. Crystal, you don't have to remember how to use every word in every conversation. Guys, I don't know how to do that. It's really just a matter of familiarity, right? And sometimes familiarity is only something you get if you have that particular experience to give you the familiarity.
Right.
So if you have no experiences to have, right, in that formal type of language, then you're not going to remember those words, right? So don't worry that much about this, guys. Honestly, I think sometimes you guys worry a little too much about wanting to sound advanced. And you think that vocabulary is the way to do that. Not in my opinion.
No.
We almost never use big words here. Not that we don't know them.
Right.
We both know them. we read a lot. We both know a lot of advanced words. But why would you use an advanced word when there's a simple word that does the job as well or better for more people?
Yeah. I think being understood is a much higher bar of English speaking than having some random vocabulary thrown in. If you're able to be easily understood by everyone, then you're a better English speaker than someone who's using words and things. And maybe they're using them correctly, but it still is not communicating in the same way. And I think that's the goal of language, is to communicate.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
Not to put a bar or try to achieve something.
That's exactly right. Language is not about perfection. Language is about communication and expression. That's my quote about that. Let's see. You were taught the word sophisticated. Okay, good. Okay, let's not argue with Victor. Come on, guys, let him alone. He gave his answer. His English is quite good. He's a longtime follower of mine, and he's a bright guy. So if he suggested something, it's probably not bad advice. Okay. What's the difference between I wish and I hope? So this one is one that there is a general rule that I'll tell you, but that we don't always follow it. So the general rule is I hope is when you're talking about real things, and I wish is when you're talking about fantasy things, right? I wish I had $1 million. I hope it doesn't rain tomorrow.
I hope I do well on my test.
Right. Okay. But again, that's a general rule that occasionally I wish this pizza tasted better.
Yeah.
You know, that's a real one. But, you know, so in general,
because you wouldn't say I hope this pizza tastes better.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I guess you could.
You could, right.
Depending on what pizza you ate before.
So, wish and hope generally is hope is for real things and wish is for fantasy things, but you can use them interchangeably, and we often do in many cases. Okay, context is key with that, Neymar. Let's see. I'm not a famous teacher either, Mara.
Yet.
Yeah, I mean, 80,000 is great and everything, but I'm not famous. What is famous? It's such a funny thing.
Once you're in Shanghai and you're up on a build, your whole image is, up blasted on the building.
And let's just remember,
doing this,
that the wise man who lives in the cave is not famous, but he's wise.
Yes.
Right? So just because you're famous doesn't mean you're wise, but being wise could be better, right? Let's see. Big fan of Gemini. I've never tried that one. Is that another AI, I guess?
Oh, I think it's a person.
Oh, well, I don't know. Your best language learning partner? I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, I have no idea.
I'm not sure. Okay, guys, don't argue. I don't want to hear it. Drop it. You hear me? Hello, David. This is Clay. I'm Teacher Mark. Teacher Clay, Teacher Mark.
Hello. Hello.
Right. It's like my teachers. They know all the grammatical rules, but they can't speak. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. That is exactly what we don't want you to do. And that's why I'm trying to say I hate hearing that language because I don't even see the purpose of it.
No.
Every single one of those explanations can be made simpler.
Yeah, and starting there makes no sense, too, to try to teach people with limited understanding and to start there.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. You have a problem with focusing on attention for grammar classes. Yeah, well, everybody does, Antonio, because grammar sucks.
Yeah, it's boring.
Okay, grammar's boring, man. So, what can you do to make grammar better? One, you can get a good grammar book that is actually not that painful. Okay, there are some books that are better than others. There are hundreds of thousands of grammar books, but not every grammar book is equal. Right? Some of them explain everything technically very well. Like, for example, English Grammar in Use. It's one of the most popular books for grammar in the world. It's not my favorite, though, because I think many of the explanations in that book are not very clear. They're very dry and boring and difficult to understand. Okay? I have another book that I like called Basic English Grammar by Saddleback Publishing. I wish I could get a deal with them.
Yeah.
And that book is simple and it's fun and easy to work through. So I really like that book. Okay. And then if you go to my website, Antonio, go to my website. Okay. Subscribe to my website and you'll find a link for resources. And if you click on grammar, you'll find some ways to practice grammar that are less painful, more fun. Okay. All right, good Lord. We're almost there. What am I eating? Huh? We're not eating anything. Did you not hear our answer, AA? We already answered about literature in high school.
Yeah, I think he just typed that question a few times.
Yeah, I think so, but that was a while ago, so I don't know.
I think there was like 4 or 5 of the same question.
Yeah, AA, we already answered the question, so let's say it one more time. When you're teaching literature, classics, you should make them exciting as much as you possibly can, so you have to paint a picture that it is exciting. But if it's not, if it's boring,
focus on that.
Don't avoid it.
Yeah.
Talk about it, right? So walk into class and say, hey, guys, we're going to read a really boring book, but we're going to talk about how boring it is.
Tell me what you didn't like about it.
That's exactly right. We're going to talk about what you don't like about it, and we're going to talk about what other people said is good, right? That's how we would do it, okay?
You can even, say, what would you do to change it and get their,
right. Yeah, that would be a good exercise. You could say, like, let's read this chapter about The Great Gatsby, okay? And let's talk about what happened. And then I want you to tell me what you think should have happened.
Right.
That's an
I
exercise
had a teacher, I had one of my professors do that in one of my literature classes.
Okay.
Just play some music. Play, monkey, play.
I know, right? Okay, let me, guys, listen to me. Guys, listen. I am here 10 times a week. He is here 2 times a week. We are real English teachers. I have been on Hello Talk for almost 12 years. I have almost 80,000 followers, and over 1 million people have watched my live streams to learn English. Okay? So, who was that who said that? Bella? Bella, if I'm here and I have the camera on, I'm working. Okay? This is my job, Bella. I am an actual teacher. So, no, I'm not going to just play some music. All right? I have a purpose. Anytime this camera is on, I have a purpose. Okay, I have done over, 2,000 hours of streams. 2,000 hours I've been here.
Most of which you can access.
Okay? That's right. Okay. Can you use indecisive and fickle-minded interchangeably? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
I think fickle-minded may mean is a little deeper, but it's
fickle.
Yeah,
fickle and indecisive, I think, are completely
right.
Yeah, fickle-minded. I don't think you need the minded. You can just say fickle.
Yeah, fickle-minded is a little individual
right.
focus.
Yeah. When I talk with someone face to face, at that time I feel nervous. Also, I feel fear in front of the camera. Okay, so this one's very simple, Rafi. Rafi, I'm going to ask you a question. The first time you rode a bike, was it easy and comfortable? Probably not. The first time you drove a car, was it easy and comfortable? Probably not.
That's why I don't do those things.
The first time you went swimming, was it comfortable? Probably not. How did you get comfortable at riding a bike? How did you get comfortable at driving? How did you get comfortable at swimming? By doing them. Okay? So, guess what? If you say, I feel nervous when I try to do it, I want to ask you, how many times did you try? So you said, when I talk with someone face to face, I feel nervous. So how many times did you do that? 10 times? 20 times? 50 times? 100 times? If you didn't do it 1,000 times, then you didn't do it. Okay? You have to do it more, guys. It's kind of like you went swimming one time and you said, I don't know why it's so hard. I did it one time and I can't do it well. What's wrong with this?
Yeah, and
I rode a bike one time and I still can't master it. What's wrong?
They say muscle memory is 10,000 hours, that a basketball player needs to shoot the ball for 10,000 hours before they even get the action, like the motion completely down. And then at that point, you grow from there.
10,000 hours is supposed to be the point of mastery of a subject.
Right, that's what it is. Yeah, mastery.
But the point is still the same, just that you can't achieve mastery without a great number of repetitions.
Yes.
Right? So when you say I tried to do it, that's what it sounds like to me. You're telling me, well, I tried to ride my bike 3 times. I'm still not a master. I don't know why.
Right. Yeah.
I tried to drive twice for 5 minutes each time. I don't know why I can't do it well yet. I tried two times for 10 minutes. That should be enough, right?
Yeah, that's like the phrase. I've tried absolutely nothing, and nothing has worked.
That's right. Yeah, and also the master has failed more times than the beginner has ever tried.
Yep,
that's a good quote. The master has failed more times than the beginner has ever tried. So Rafi, you need to do it more. Okay? If you do it 1,000 times and you still have a problem, come back and see me. I'll give you a private lesson. All right? How can I be friends with 1,000 people? I didn't say I was friends with 1,000 people. I said I have 80,000 followers.
I was going to say, I think you can be friends with 1,000 people.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not close friends, but
right, yeah.
1,000 people who know you.
Yeah, right. Let me make sure the YouTube is still there. Is Maria still over there? Maria. All right, guys. Yeah. So, if you've only ridden a bike 3 times, that's why you're not good at it. If you've only driven a car 3 times, that's why you're not good at it. If you've only tried to speak 3 times, that's why you're not good. Okay? It's that simple, okay? Blessed Ramadan month. Thank you, Chris.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, happy Ramadan to you as well, and to others here, if you celebrate Ramadan. What can I do to speak and write fluent English? Ravi, once again, I want to tell you, if someone wrote a book about your question, then it's not a good question. Okay? Because I can't explain something that was written in a book. All right? So, Ravi, if you have an opportunity to ask a question that has personal sense to it. Something about you, right? So I don't know you, Ravi. So when you say, how can I speak and write fluently? I don't know, because I don't know anything about you. I don't know how much you know, what you don't know. I don't know how serious you are. I don't know anything about you. So I cannot give you any advice with that question. But if you tell me, when I speak, I get nervous. When I speak, I have trouble with pronunciation. When I speak, I can't remember words or vocabulary. Those are questions I can answer.
Makes it a lot easier to pinpoint an answer, as opposed to when you ask a question like that, the general answer back would be do it. And that's not a good answer because the question is tough to.
Or I would just say, here's a book.
Yeah,
Go
exactly.
read it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. A friend in each corner. No, we say a friend in every corner. Nala. It's a play on words, Nala. To have a friend in every corner of the world has no corners, so it means that you have a friend in every place in the world. Okay?
Did we miss any questions?
I don't think so. Okay. I think we caught up. We caught up, everybody, so you can ask questions again if you want to. We'll go another 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We'll just go till 12. So we've got 15 more minutes here. If you have questions about English, ask questions. If you want to come talk to us, raise your hand. We didn't have anybody up on stage yet.
No one even raised their hand, which is strange.
I don't think so. I didn't notice anybody raising their hand.
Me neither. Hello, Hannah.
So, questions. Come on. We caught up. We finally caught up with all the questions. So if you have more questions, go ahead and ask them. Grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, reading, writing, listening, speaking. Okay. And again, like if you have grammar questions, ask them. I just want you to make sure I want to make sure you understand that grammar shouldn't get in the way of language.
That shouldn't be your focus. If you're looking at grammar and missing the language behind it,
right.
Then you're missing out.
Yeah.
As opposed to looking at the language and seeing the grammar in it.
Here's a perfect example. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. This is the name of a famous song, and there are lyrics that are written with those words. Now, is it correct grammar? No. Does anyone care? No, because that's not the point.
Right.
The point is to enjoy the expression, not to say, oh, well, you expressed yourself wrong. Okay? So
That would have been, we would say, you're a lot of fun at parties.
That's right, yeah. When grammar becomes a big bat that you walk around and hit people with, you're doing
taking
the right
away
thing.
from the language.
Yeah, that's right.
You're not adding anything.
That's the wrong attitude to have. Okay? If you're walking around with a grammar bat and hitting people whenever they make a mistake, no, man.
We don't want to be destructive.
That's right.
In learning, we want to be constructive.
And language has 3 ways you can look at it. Prescriptive language. Prescriptive means you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. Proscriptive language, which means you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this. But there's another way to look at language, which is just descriptive language, which just means you're talking about something. There is no should or shouldn't. There's just describing it. It's just a thing that you're talking about. It has no should or shouldn't value to it. It's just that's the way you decided to do it. And that is the way language really is, in my opinion. There are too many people who think language is prescriptive or proscriptive too much. And they're missing the descriptive value of language. Okay? And that's really its most basic function, is descriptive. Okay? How can you find books related to your level? Well, Ahmed, I would go online and what is your level? Maybe you're B2, so you should find books. You should do a search online and say, please give me a list of B2 level ESL books for grammar, for vocabulary, for reading, for writing, for whatever, right? So whatever you want, type in a search for that, and it will give you that, okay? But Ahmed, I don't know your level, so I can't give you any books, okay? How can I improve my pronunciation, Mahmoud? Ooh, that's hard when you can't hear the person, right?
Yeah. That's another kind of, you need to focus the question.
Yeah, and the basic answer I can give you is that you should learn English phonics and spend more time with phonics. I think many people don't spend enough time with phonics.
And we do so much, you know, in our country here. We spend a lot of time on phonics through our first
few years.
Yeah, first 3-4 years of our schooling.
We do a lot.
And then sometimes people need even more after that because the English is not always easy to be spoken, you know, by young children. So then you go to even more speech classes or things like this.
That's correct, yeah.
And that it's not nothing against anyone. It's just hard. And so
Mahmoud, I would say that you need to focus on learning all the sounds of English with phonics. A, E, I, O, U, A, E, I, O, B, 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 C, 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 K, 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 D, 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 F, 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 right? All of those sounds and then combining them, right? B and A, ba, C, K, A, Ka, D, A, da, F, A, fa, right? And make your mouth big. If your mouth is not big, it's not good enough. Okay? If your mouth is small, you're doing it wrong for American English.
no little mouth.
That's right. No little mouth. Not when you're learning.
Yeah.
Not when you're learning. Later, maybe.
You can, but to stretch it out and to really just emphasize what you're doing. So
That's right.
It's part of the muscle memory.
Well, it's also part of
The regular memory.
The problem is when you speak, let's say you're from Egypt. So when you speak English right now, you're using Egyptian mouth movements. That's why you have an accent. But if you make your mouth movements big, now they're different. They're not the same mouth movements from your language, so you can learn something new. It can be different. And again, that is one big difference between English, American English, and most other languages around the world. American English, Americans have a big mouth.
Yeah, and that's an easy one to remember because it's accurate.
Yeah, both figuratively and literally.
Right.
We have big mouths. Right? That's why I sound clear, because I have a big mouth. Okay?
Vase versus base?
Huh?
Vase and bass.
Yeah, vase and bass are the same. Same sound.
Yes.
Yeah. But if you're talking about the V and the B sound, the difference between... Somebody asked me this the other day. Look at me. The B sound is when you curl your lips. Buh. 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 And you pop a little bit of air out. So buh. Buh. Right? Like the name Bob. Bob. That's a good one to practice, right? But the letter V, you take the top teeth and you put them on the bottom lip just a little bit, and then curl the bottom lip in. V. And the difference is this: a B is always a short sound; it cannot be made long. But a V, very, you can, right? Yes. So B cannot be long; it's always a short sound. Okay, but V, when you practice the V sound, you should make them as long as you can. So if you get a list of V words, right, and then say very, okay, vicissitudes. I always love that word. I was trying to think of some V words. Right, violet, okay, violin, right, make it long, violin, violet. Okay. Your friend is American. He said there's 2 bottles. Why? Because, Lynn, because that's a common mistake that even I do all the time, that colloquially we don't care about. No. Right? On a grammar test, I would care. But yes, there's 2 bottles. There's more than one way to say that, right?
There are 2 bottles.
Right. Yeah. It should be there are. The correct answer is there are. But it is very, very common to hear people say this mistake, right? So it's kind of a colloquially accepted mistake, right?
And in his world, it is correct. But on a grammar test.
If you asked him to think about it, he probably would be like, oh, yeah, you're right.
Well,
it should be
he said it.
Right, I know. Yeah. But I mean, like, if you actually asked him and you just stopped him and say, hey, you said there's 2 bottles. Shouldn't it be there are 2? He would probably look at you for a second and go like, I guess you're right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should be. But we just don't care. Right. Right? Life is not a grammar test.
Especially when we're trying to shorten the language, which is what that is. It's, it's...
Yeah.
Instead of going over it.
Yeah, it's not correct. It should be there are 2 bottles. It's colloquially accepted. It's a mistake that is colloquially accepted and common. Okay? Another one. What's the difference between an issue and a problem? Issues and problems can be the same thing in many cases. There could be some situations where an issue and a problem are 2 different things. Like math problem is a math problem. We don't say a math issue.
Right.
Okay?
And an issue has its own.
A political issue is probably more common than a political problem. Yeah. Sometimes we say that, but an issue has another meaning. It could also mean like a magazine subscription. You have many issues of a magazine. It means editions or a series of something, right? So, but Iman, in many cases, what's the issue? What's the problem? Same. Okay.
That's another sarcastic phrase, a tissue for your issue.
Right, yeah. No, we're talking about everything here, everybody. We're talking about everything here. All right. Look, we have... Oh, no, I thought we had somebody on the stage. Nobody wants to come on stage? We only have 5 minutes left. Would someone like to talk to us for 5 minutes? Someone come say hi for 5 minutes? Do I know where you can get good resources to improve your pronunciation by IPA? Not by IPA, no, because I don't like IPA, Victor. As an English teacher, I think IPA is too much work, okay? 3% of students should use IPA. There are 3% of students that have a certain mental quality of perfection of detail. Those people like IPA. But the rest of them, no, it's too much work. Right. It's like you're learning a language to learn a language. Mm-hmm. No, it's too much work. Okay, and none of us know it.
No, I definitely don't.
Okay. Native speakers don't learn IPA, man.
No.
You know? No. So don't worry about it. Okay? Don't worry about it. But Victor, if you want to work on your pronunciation, go to my website, which is right here, and follow my website. Subscribe, okay? Subscribe to my website, and you can find everything you need to study English on my website for free. Okay, so when I say subscribe to my website, everybody, yes, that means you must give me your email. Okay. Oh no!
Yeah. If you don't have one, just make one up.
It's so tough. Yeah. It's so hard. It's so difficult. It's so hard to give you an email.
Not my email.
I've been here for 2,000 hours teaching English. I'm here 5 times a week. I've been here online today for almost 2 hours. All I want is your email. It's not a lot to ask. Okay? If you give me your email, you can subscribe to my website, and on my website you will find lots of things that will help you with your pronunciation. Okay? All right? I want your emails. All right? Yeah, let's make it scary. Hold on. I want your emails. Give me your email now. Email. Sunday.
And Saturday. That's what I love in King of the Hill. They have that. He's like, Sunday, and Saturday.
Yeah. So, email. Give me your email and you can subscribe to my site. Okay, guys? Give me your email. That's my website right there, and here is my YouTube channel right here. Follow me, all right? I'm here 5 live streams every week, 5 voice rooms every week. Clay, is here 2 times a week, usually on Wednesday and Friday. He's here to help me, okay? I am Teacher Mark. He is Teacher Clay, okay? We're gonna wrap things up here today, but I want to thank everybody for coming and watching and following and liking and all that good stuff. And yes, please remember that social media is an environment. It's an ecosystem. And if you don't help me, I will die. I will wither and die. Okay? So what that means is, how do you help me? If you can't go buy my lessons, which would be great. If you want to buy my lessons, that's a good way to help me. Or you can hit like, and you can share, and you can type a comment and say, hey, Teacher Mark, thank you so much for the lesson today. It was great. Okay? I read every comment that I get. Okay? 80,000 people follow me. I read every comment. I can't reply to all of them, but I do read them. So if you make a comment, I have read it. Okay? Thank you, Mahmoud, for all of those things. So please follow, please share, please like, please comment. Follow, share, like, and comment. Follow, share, like, and comment. Follow, share, like, and comment. Follow. Whoops, wrong one. Follow, share, like, comment. All right. So, guys, we're going to go. Thank you guys for coming. We'll see you guys next time, okay? Have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening, wherever you are.
Bye, guys.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.